I'm gonna explain everything. Okay, just give me a minute.
Hey, Shabazz.
How you doing?
How you doing, man? Nice seeing you.
Okay, fine. Shabazz, how you doing? All right.
You will see a grand exodus of students getting up in the wee hours of the morning, traveling to other sectors of the city in order to get a decent education. They should be able to get that right here where they live.
Okay. Can I'm just say one thing to y'all. Just hold the whole. Yeah. Go in. I tell y'all one thing. Okay, let me explain this to the person.
Just move her.
Give me 1 second. I'm coming right in with you. Okay. Okay. So as the moderator for today's forum, this is very important because there's a lot of trauma. The rest of the councilmen here is traumatic to this ward. It's traumatic.
The rest of what councilmen?
Let me finish. Okay.
Where y'all at when there's 200 kids laying on the ground?
Okay, so what I'm saying here is this.
Where you at when mothers need burial and insurance?
We're gonna let you go. We're gonna let you go first.
No, because what is your
We're gonna let you go
don't live
first.
here.
We're gonna let you go first.
Well, you don't. None
We're
of
gonna let you go
people can tell
first.
me what is your
We're gonna let you go first. I'm gonna make my statement.
She did go first.
Okay, so you made your statement. Okay, so let me make mine. Okay,
He
has a right to ask the question.
okay, we're here with Ward 8 residents here.
Ward 8 residents
Okay.
call this.
And obviously there's a lot of trauma here. And this meeting is necessary
Not my voice.
because what has happened to the councilman is it's bad news. And the ward needs to know where the leadership is going to go, where the future is going to be, and there needs to be healing. Okay, these are very serious allegations. You have a councilman here that has a track record of a lot of good deeds. Everywhere you go, they'll say he's done good here, he's done good with the senior citizens, he's done good with the youth. Yet when we read the affidavit, and I have read the affidavit, these are very serious allegations that throw the entire future of the ward into question.
Attorney
So we're here, give me 1 second. So we're here to moderate this community forum. We're not taking any sides. We're neutral. There are people strongly here for councilmen. There are people here that may be detested. We know that our community needs healing and we need guidance. Okay. So we're just here to facilitate a forum. As myself, as a lawyer, and I know the legal issues, and on behalf of the Black Men's Movement in Ward 8, we're here to help bring some guidance and some healing and legal clarity to what's going on.
Attorney Barry, I have to raise this question.
But raise it on the inside. We got to go. I'm going to give you a feed. I'm going to give you a feed. I'm going to give you a feed. Hold on 1 second. Let me give you a feed.
That's what I'm saying.
Plenty of legal.
I don't need no legal clarity.
Okay, I'm talking to this. Okay, it's fine. Maybe they do and others do.
I don't need no legal clarity, brother.
That hurts the transparency, that hurts the credibility of this meeting.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with the ARC and not letting
This ain't about Trayon or liking him or not liking him.
I can tell you that at 12 noon on Wednesday, at the big chair, there will be a formal news conference. Where you can ask all
By who? By who?
12 noon.
By who?
By the Black Men's Movement.
Is Trayon gonna be there?
Mark it down. That we will all be there.
You need to be here.
And we're going to have
What?
this meeting. Right now, you can go to my...
I mean, what is the point?
Nothing about the man that informed.
Okay, I'm going to do all that. I'm going to tell you about the informant.
He done stole money from the city.
I'm telling you, we're going to talk about
him. Still
we're going to
pimping.
talk about all of that tonight. We're going to talk about the informant.
Oh, whatever.
We're going to talk about $5.6 million in district contracts that were supposed to go to an informant. We're going to talk about where the money is that's supposed to help stop the violence, where that's going. We're going to talk about whether this is a conspiracy to set up a black elected officials or whether or
No, come on.
we're gonna talk about whether it's a conspiracy,
That ain't the issue.
and we're gonna talk about whether it's some culpability.
You just throwing mud in the water.
We're gonna deal with it. I'm gonna deal with it. Okay, so
As you always do.
12. I'm gonna tell you this right now. 12 noon. At 12 noon on Wednesday, we'll be there. And right now, if you want to follow this action live from the inside, go to Facebook and go to Malik Z Shabazz. You go to my page, I'm live. Malik Z Shabazz. I'm gonna tangle with this. I'm gonna come in here and tangle with this, okay? And I got the and it needs to be dealt with. Follow me now on Malik Z. Shabazz. You can follow the action on the inside. At 12 noon on Wednesday, we'll be there. And we are coming to try to bring some healing to this mess.
Chris. Chris.
I gotta get right on the mic. Right on the mic.
Door open electronically. Door open electronically.
Thank you. Come on, brother. I want to hear from you tonight.
Proceed to the route.
All right. This way.
Where's my phone?
Here, I got it live.
In 250 feet. The destination is on your left.
Hold on. We got to turn that off.
Come on. Thank you, sister. I'm behind you.
Come on, I'll show you what's going on. I gotta work with the police and tell them what to do their job. Shouldn't have to do that. So we need to stick together. Me, we're tired and had enough, and we're gonna move on. And that's it. All this money going on, we don't know. I'm telling you, that's what's going on with our money. That's our tax money. You need to know.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to have one mic at the main podium.
Stay in close here.
And the moment we've been waiting for is right here and right now. I want to introduce a man who's in DC politics and a love for what is right and knows the system. And I want to introduce to you the doctor and attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. Assalamu alaikum, Black House.
Alaikum salam. Give yourself a black hand, please.
Go on inside.
All right. First of all, what I want to do just to set the tone right and reintroduce to myself to some, and others know me from Ward 8 way back. But right now what we're going to do is let us meditate for a second and just take a breath, because we're going to need it. Most of all, we will need patience with each other. So before I get to my purpose, before you presume something, assume something, get mad or angry, let us meditate and just meditate, or go to your God for a minute, or we just breathe for a minute so we can get our minds right. Just breathe for a minute. Okay, I'm coming to you, sir. Just give me a minute to state my purpose, and we go into the questions. Everybody will have a chance to speak their piece. First of all, gotta let you know that y'all are my peoples, okay? That you all, as black people, I don't care what candidate you from, what sect of the city you from, what part of Ward 8 you from, that y'all are my folks. And I'm here. My name is Malik Shabazz. I'm an attorney in this town. I've been in this city since 1984. Others know me as a former Ward 8 City Council candidate in this ward from years ago. I'm not here seeking no political office. I'm not seeking anything but for you to have a voice and your position to be stated on the critical issues that are affecting us in this city on behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice and the Black Men's Movement of Ward 8. A couple of brothers of ours, they're coming.
200 kids on the ground.
All right.
When me and regular people are out there trying to sue these mothers, where y'all at there?
Okay. You're gonna let us. We're gonna be trying to proceed civilized. We don't want to. We want to be civilized. I'm giving you my purpose. I'm giving you the purpose, and just letting you know a bit about who I am. And it'll only be a second. Lafayette Barnes, all the old timers here. I'm older, right? I done been here, and I promised my folks in Ward 8 that if they got in a crisis, I would help them out. Some of y'all have seen me across the country. You've seen me in police brutality cases. You've seen me everywhere. But right here in Washington, D.C., you are important, okay? So who are we? We're the Black Lawyers for Justice, Black Men's Movement, and these are residents of Ward 8. Now let's get right down to it. We are here because some tragic events have occurred. The tragic event that has occurred, my sisters and brothers here, is that the councilman in this ward has been arrested and indicted on bribery charges. That is, no matter what perspective you coming from, that's bad news. That's, okay, pardon me, arrested and charged with bribery. I have the affidavit. I've read the affidavit. So just hear me for a second, then we go into the mic. What we're talking about here, sisters and brothers, is big. It involves Ward 8, but it involves black people across this entire city. As I've always stated, that I believe, and I've said this years ago, and it has come to pass, that there is a conspiracy to wipe the black population of Washington, D.C. out. I stated it years ago that there has been a conspiracy to decimate our population, to drive down our population. If you got a question, you come right to that mic. I'll get to you in order. It's order, folks. You can just get you right in line. I'm coming to you because I'm going to open up. Just let me state why we're here. There has been a conspiracy. There has been a conspiracy to wipe us out. Okay, now I will further tell you, as a former field organizer for Mayor Marion Barrett, as a former spokesman and a student of Brother Marion Barrett, I can tell you also, let's just respect each other. We're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. Okay, Brother Marion, there's always been a conspiracy to take down a black elected official in this city. There's also the question of whether or not that black elected official has aided in his own takedown. I'm talking about in the past or the present. Both sides of these issues are going to be discussed. All perspectives will be discussed. We're neutral here. We are here because we know you need a voice. That's why you're here tonight. We hear you know because you hurt. We hear you know you need some therapy. We know you need some guidance and you need to know what's going on. And so as a brothers and men in the community, we are here to provide this forum and so that we could get some insight, maybe some healing on where we go from here. So as I conclude and open up, I want to say yes, starting in the days of Marion Barrett, there's always been a conspiracy to take down a black mayor or a black councilor or somebody in this city. And we have to also say that we will look at, as we did in the days of Marion Barrett, whether or not that elected official is culpable of the trap that the enemies of his enemies would set for him. Okay, now I've read the affidavit, and first of all, let's say this about Brother Trayon White and every one of his followers that are here, and take this right back to him. Everywhere that I go, including right before this indictment, when they come to me and tell me about Trayon White, they tell me that Brother Trayon White has done a good job here and a good job there, and he's been here for the youth there, and he's been here for the youth there. These are just facts. I'm not pushing no campaign. I'm just telling you facts. They say here, right before this broke, somebody was telling me that at the senior citizens complex down on Good Hope Road, that they were out of air. There was no air conditioning in the building. And they said it was Councilman Trayon White that brought a row of metro buses down and got the senior citizens out the building. And I hear a lot of good stories about Brother Trayon White. I gotta be honest with you here. Even if I'm even if you're critical, and I may offer some legal criticism, but I'm here to tell you the facts. That this young man inspires youth in this city. He's a young man that other young men have been looking up to. That's why this is painful. Because as a young man, other young brothers identify with him, and he's been at the forefront of the anti-violence movement in this city. These are facts. So you got a popular councilman. You got a councilman here that has won re-election by 50-something% of the vote, on his way to re-election. And now you have a major controversy with him being charged with bribery. Well, what does the affidavit say? The affidavit that led to his arrest says that a confidential informant that was working for the federal government or the FBI is involved and is the one that you see in the affidavit, in the photographs, that's in the car with Trayon, that supposedly gave him $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000 that make up the $35,000 that was a down payment on the $150,000 that allegedly he's supposed to be getting to help get this informant district government contracts. This is fact. This informant is supposed to be a vendor, a former vendor with the district government. And as a former person that is contracting with the district government to stop the violence, he was put out of the district government because he was submitting false paperwork. This is the affidavit talking, not Attorney Shabazz. That the affidavit says that this businessman was used to get millions of dollars from the district government. Hey, just be cool for a second. She sisters, all right, we cool. We are black family regardless. I'm coming to you. I'm just going to explain the affidavit.
Not cool.
Okay,
not cool.
Okay, but so still got to rock this now. Okay, in the affidavit. In the affidavit.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
We're going to respect each other.
Respect.
Great. Clap your hands if you're going to respect each other tonight. It's important to respect each other. Everybody going to have their chance. See, because Attorney Shabazz is not here to judge. I'm here to help facilitate. I'm not here to be nobody's judge. Now, what happened is in the affidavit, a person that used to do business with the district, the affidavit is a sworn statement by a witness that's working with the government, that is put forth as to assert probable cause for arrest. It's probable cause what we're dealing with. We have to stay here first. First of all, we got to stay here that every defendant is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. All right? Every defendant is innocent. However, probable cause is serious. Probable cause can get you arrested. So let's get back into the probable cause. This person who was working for the district government had been put out of business with the district, did not have their contracts renewed because at least the DC government said they were submitting faulty paperwork and background checks and doing fraudulent business, so they put this informant out of business. Soon after that, the informant got in trouble with the payroll protection program. I just saw an ANC commissioner in this ward, got 5 years. I forgot brother's name. He got 5 years and it's $9 million. And Brother Rosenberg got now 5 years. Okay, so this informant in the White case, a friend of White, was in trouble with the government, then got in trouble with the feds for the payroll protection program. Okay, and my analysis is that instead of charging him and sending him to jail, he agreed to be an informant against Trayon White. He went to wearing a wire against Councilman White. He went to soliciting Council White for some more business with the district. He wanted $5.6 million. I'm coming to you, brother. I got you. Just be patient. Everybody can drop. $5.6 million. Just got to know some facts here. So the informant, he's called in the affidavit CHS1. Confident informant number one. Informant number one comes back to White continuously, saying that he wants the anti-violence contracts, what they call AVC, that he wants the onesie contracts, which is the East of the River, basically collaborative that brings all of the anti-violence monies together. About $6 million. The man is seeking $6 million. According to the affidavit, he sat with White. He has a number of conversations outlined in the affidavit about him wanting to win the contracts, which officials had to be won over, which officials had to be convinced in order for him to get the contracts. And according to this affidavit, or the parts of it that they brought out of the affidavit, that White allegedly, according to these tapes and transcripts, agrees to help him, agrees to pressure these officials. There's a question about whether this is an official act or not, all the way down to the point where in the affidavit where it says that White says that if this official, he's called, it's 3 unidentified government officials in the document, it looks like it's the head of DYRS. Look like in the affidavit, White is saying that if this DYRS official, according to the affidavit, it's just an affidavit, according to that witness, that White agreed, that White said that if that person doesn't help him doing what he's doing with the informant, that that person won't get his vote on the city council to remain in that position. That's the basis of the bribery charge. Bribery is using your official position to influence or steer public contracts. That's just what the charge is. Okay? So that being stated, I'm going to the mic, let you know our intention. I'm neutral. I'm not taking no sides here. This is for us to try to express our opinions, get some therapy, and hopefully move forward. But it's a serious time. That's right. Will Councilman Wright run for office regardless to indictment? Hell, I don't know. You tell me. Is he going to be pressured out of office and unable to run in November? Y'all tell me. Is some write-in candidate coming up? Y'all tell me. Is Ward 8 going to be divided forever? Y'all tell me. Let's go to the mic. Let's just respect each other. That's all I ask. Agree or disagree, we just respect each other. This is a community service by the Black Men's Movement. With the Black Men's Movement, it's just a community service. That's all. We ain't here to attack or defend. Go right ahead, sir.
Peace, Ward 8. I'm going to be Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm not Muslim, but respect to the culture. Addressing Ward 8, I'm going to be brief. First, I'd like to say collectively, let's please just stop running with whatever the news says. Second, please don't believe the FBI. Just general, outside of this case while we're here. But the most important issue this evening, I feel, they done wasted my goddamn time. But, so what's going to happen now is there are a whole bunch of write-in candidates. So we have to collectively garner ourselves to figure out what we're going to do as a community. So, you know, I know there are at least 4 write-in candidates, so that's going to split the vote. Now, I don't know how everybody feels about Trey, but for those who don't know, Trey's my former student, my former mentee. I'm biased in assessing and evaluating his character as a young man. He's been under my wing for the past 20 years. And so, as a former politician myself, I've never in my life seen a young man so passionate about his community. Now, I don't know what happens to us individually when we're tempted and, you know, things come our way, but I do know the integrity of our people. I can't speak on what's right or wrong, but I know a lot of people in this room. You know, I know Mr. Fred, Mr. Lawrence, you know, Stewart. You know, Mr. Lawrence I've known since I was a baby, and so what I'm saying is we need to garner ourselves collectively. Now, I'm not suggesting what to do, but from a political science standpoint, the most logical thing to do is to vote for Trey. Oh, but hold on, let me just say why. I'm not saying Trey is the best candidate. Well, I think he is, but I'm not saying that in this statement, in this sentiment. But what I'm saying is, if we divide the Democratic vote 4 or 5 ways, it's a shoo-in for the Republican. So.
No, hold on. He's all right. I want to ask you a question. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I tried not to state my name because I'm not important. It doesn't matter.
So, but let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a straight up question.
Yeah.
You're obviously you're a wise man to what's going on here. What is your recommendation?
I'm stating it now. My recommendation is that we vote for Trey. And what I'm saying is I'm confident if the community meets with Trey, he will do the right thing. So if we're like, yo, you need to go, I think he will. But we can't lose the race. We can't split our vote.
What's the race?
I say we vote for Trayon.
So to meet, I'm just trying to get clear. To meet to see where he goes, or you just say straight up.
Well, he has not been displaced. He still is the Ward 8 councilman right now today.
Okay, hold on. Let's give him a hand for his comment. Give him a hand for his comment.
No,
give him a hand. He's coming to the next one.
Hold on. Real quick. Hold on. Because we let y'all talk y'all bullshit for like an hour. And y'all came in our community telling us who y'all are. And I know, but these are my people. These not your people. But what the final point is, the point being is, so we can't be so divided, with emotion. We have to make a decision. So, or if it's one of the write-in candidates that you feel has a stronger sense to not divide the ballot, that would make more sense too. But obviously, Trayon has the most tenure and experience in being our council member. Let's just put him in. And he's still on the ballot. So we put him in, and then we decide where we go from there. Then that way we can secure our vote, and then we can make a decision. Thank you.
All right. Let's take a poll on that for a minute. I was clear. Oh, 1 second.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Because we got some time to thank you. First of all, I like to say I've been here since 1974, before 84, before the crack hit the streets, okay? So when I hear you talk about us sticking together, I was one of the first persons who voted for Mayor Washington for DC. And it was a mixed, diverse community, so it wasn't just blacks here, okay? So that's irrelevant. Second of all, during the crack age, blacks did not stick together and turn in each other. So where were you guys then? Okay? Even the Muslims didn't come here and help us. But we had to pick our kids up off the street in bodies and mothers selling their kids. Where was the Muslims then? They weren't here. So I ain't falling for this. Okay? First of all, for me, I'm going to do a write-in. I talked to Trayon personally. Was we live up in Willow Creek, and Trayon live up in Willow Creek, and all y'all Trayon lovers, he ain't worth 2 cents. And I'm not saying this by hearsay. I'm saying here for direct interaction from him. Trayon would not help us because he said it was a conflict of interest. He would not help us. So you think he's going to help us now after he has been taken by the FBI? I don't think so. We are fooling ourselves because you know what? I was here when Mary Berry said they're coming. Get yourselves together. I got programs set up for you to get your credit together, find jobs, and buy property in this city. Did a lot of blacks do it? No. I'm going to Maryland. That's all I kept hearing. I'm going to Maryland. So when y'all talk about black folks don't stick together, that's bull crap. Y'all don't want to stick together. We are here today. We can make a decision collectively and decide on somebody else besides Trayon. Because I'm telling you, that young man is disrespectful to elders. He's biased in who he wants to be nice to. He is not a good person. Because anytime you disrespect your elders, you heading down the wrong track. So don't sit here and tell me about Trayon. We should vote for him in because we don't want a Republican again. It was diverse when Washington, it was white, black, Indian, all kinds of people up in here. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. If this Republican going to do a better job than Trayon, I'm voting for him. And I'm going to look him up and see what he's about. Because Trayon is not about this world. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing trash up and down my ward. Why should I have to keep calling in for them to pick up the trash in my ward? You trying to tell me my city councilman ain't riding around here and seeing this? I do 311s every week because my city councilman is not making people come over here and do what they're supposed to because he's somewhere else doing what he's not supposed to do.
All right, we're going to bring her. Okay, just for having, remember again, we're not taking sides. We're just saying for her having her First Amendment, give her a hand for her First Amendment. So we got two positions on the table. One gentleman came up first and said, Trayon, and vote for Trayon regardless, and it will work out. And the other sister who just came here says she's been here for a long time, and she says that it's time for something new or write-in, or she would even vote for the Republican. Okay, so that's what we got on the table right now. Let's just see where we at in the discussion. If you agree with the first man, just a temporary, just raise your hand if you agree with the first man. I just want to know. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We keep going. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
This whole thing.
I got you, bro. I got you.
With this bribe and stuff, if he got money, that he's taking money for bribes, he's not the only one in the district.
Hello.
They need to go after all of them. Start with the mayor's office with Eugene Adams. Litigation, director of litigation. That's what they need to go after. If he knew about his frontline workers changing and wiping out notarized petition, what's the difference?
So you're saying White's being picked on?
Right, he is.
Okay, now what? Now, despite him being,
I got evidence.
Okay, you might be right. Probably right. Okay, let me say this.
They had him to move from the OAG from being a deputy director. Then he put out that he was resigning, he retired. Then he came back underneath the office of the administrative hearing. Then he came back underneath of the mayor's office. And whenever he knew, Vincent Gray knew, all the attorney generals knew. They did an internal investigation of the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Division, and nothing was done. They made all them people that I named leave from the agency, go someplace else.
Which agency is that again?
The Office of the Attorney General.
Let me ask you this. You say that Mr. White is being picked on. Let me ask you this. What to you, ma'am, what is your recommendation for course 4? What is your advice?
If you're going to go after him for bribery, you might as well go after all the rest of them. But see, the point is, Eugene Adams is friends with the head man over top of the judges over at the DC Superior Court, Peter Nichols. He's up top of them, all the judges over there. Then I didn't take my case to the District Government Court, Supreme Court. I took it to Fed. But they ain't no different because all they did was made a phone call.
All right, okay, we got you. We got your opinion on record.
Okay,
and your opinion is valuable.
And then my other thing is, if we taking bribes, whenever I had rented out my house before the pandemic, and I was trying to get it back, and I went to his office trying to get $6,000 to pay for a water bill that the water company never turned off until they got $6,000. His office should have helped me pay for it, because I was like the mayor's always saying, we should rent out our house instead of selling our house. So that's what I did. But I ain't getting no help.
Quick question. You're a Ward 8 resident, right?
Yeah, I've been a Ward 8.
Okay. What is your recommendation to your fellow Ward 8 brothers and sisters?
They got to follow their heart.
They follow their heart. Okay. That's fine. All right, sir. Please come. State your name. State your name and make your comment, please.
What am I doing? I'm going to the bathroom. He wants to
state your name. Okay. Tell us what's on your mind, sir.
My name is Craig.
You live here in the ward?
That's the only reason I'm here, because I live in there.
Yes, sir. Honor you.
My question, and I don't see it yet,
it's your choice.
But I want to know what is the continued representation for Ward 8 is going to be, and why didn't you gentlemen have somebody from the office come down here to simply try to give us some direction as to what are we going to continue to keep services to the residents as here is concerned tonight? And
okay, can I answer that real quick?
You can't answer that.
Okay, according to what I read, I'm just telling you what I read. First of all, we did through our We did invite everybody. We invited his office, and we wanted him here. Okay. From what I read, they said that from what I read on his website, that the services to the constituents is continuing and shall continue. That's what I read.
Okay. Understand that. However, we are still in an influx of uncertainty, being as though Councilman White has legal issues going on right now.
Okay.
You should have names that let people know who is going to continue to represent them, or who is going to continue the services. Who can I call in his office? Who can I make sure I'm still getting these things together? Like the lady said, she calls 311. The other lady said she called.
Okay, let me ask you this. Maybe they can know. Is there any differences at this present second of the services that you normally receive and that you haven't received since you've been arrested? I don't know. Is there any differences in the services that you normally would receive and the ones you're receiving now since you've been arrested? Okay, so they say that it's the same. I don't know what the same means, but they say it's the
when
same.
They have their meetings downtown, he is not sitting there representing with a voice of this ward. So who is going to be that voice of this ward temporarily until something is resolved?
Okay, let's stop right there. That's a great question. Okay, hold this. This is a little difficult, but y'all bear with me, okay? Just feel my spirit and y'all's spirit, and bear with me. I know this is difficult, but his question is, and maybe somebody can help answer. He says, in the meanwhile, while this is going on and the election is in November, who is the face, who is the leader in Ward 8 as the representative until that time? That's your question. Who's the leader, right?
So it seems like he is somewhere other than.
Okay, let's leave that open so we don't knock people out of line. That's an open question here. Who's the leader? That's why we're here to learn. Who's the leader? Y'all probably can tell us. Go ahead.
All right, so.
I'm one of the second.
Come on, get in line. Get in line. We're gonna make an exception for you.
I'm the committee man for the ward. My name's Stuart Anderson.
Democratic
I am
committee.
the Democratic committee man. I am the next.
Okay, come here, brother. Come here.
There you go. Excuse me, I apologize, right? But I don't need to hold that. My name is Stuart Anderson, and I'm going to say emphatically, I feel you. I agree with some other people in this room. I ran Salima Dover against Trayon. I'm a committee man. That means I represent the Democratic Party. If you got an issue with Trayon White's office, you can't get him, call me. I guarantee you get a response when you call Stuart Anderson, and that has nothing to do with Trayon White and his political situation as it relates to the courts. We're talking about who's going to represent this ward. Trayon White will continue to represent this ward until November. There will be nothing. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I got a legal assistance degree. And I can tell you right now, I could write up enough goddamn petitions to the court to continue this case to 2027.
Well, let me ask you.
And he will continue to be, he will continue to be the leader of this ward with all of his inaccuracies, all of his failures, and all of his goodness until November 5th. Now, the idea is, what do you want moving forward? I just came from the Democratic Convention. I just was up there all week long fighting for democratic principles that govern us here. I'm not here to tell you to vote for Trayon White. I'm telling you, vote for the Democratic ticket. We already had a primary. I lost in the primary. I wanted Salima Dover. When the Salima Dover camp said, Stuart, we're going to do a write-in so that we can, this before this Trayon mess. I said, you do it without me. Why? Because I represent the Democratic Party.
Okay,
and I'm saying the answer to your question is, the leader is Trayon White until he gets locked up. If he don't never get locked up, we go to November 5th.
Let me be clear.
On November 5th, you get to vote for who you want to vote for. I say vote Trayon White because we cannot lose this area to a Republican. So I say to all running candidates, stand down.
All right, okay, so his position.
My phone number is 202-239.
He's coming strong.
9439. Again, it's 202-239-9439. And what I'm saying to you is this: we cannot lose this ward to a Republican, and we must vote democratically. And then, if Trayon White does fall to what is happening in the FBI and the investigation, we have a special election in 2025.
Mr. Anderson, man, let me ask you something, brother. For standing up strong, for standing up strong on his First Amendment rights, let's give him a hand. He stood up on his position. Okay, but let me ask you two questions. One, you said, did you say that in the absence of the physical presence of the councilman that you
There is no absence of the physical presence.
Let me just ask you a
He has an entire staff.
But let me ask you this. You said,
and his staff is continuing to work.
Let me just ask you something, brother.
I want to correct you as you move.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you this.
We'll have a conversation. Let's go.
This is important. Are you saying you're able to help with...
Hey, ma'am.
Are you saying that you're able to help with constituent service?
I already do it. I've been doing it every day. Ever since I've been in ward. I'm the second highest ranking Democrat in the ward.
I get you. We don't got to yell at each other. We all right. It ain't that heavy.
I'm trying to leave.
Okay, so your position is clear on the record. You say, regardless of the charges, regardless of what's happening, Trayon White for Ward 8 because he's a Democrat and elected in November. That's your position, right?
My position is exactly that. Okay. He was elected during the primary. We should stay the course until they lock him up. If they never lock him up, he continues to lead them, and he leads today from wherever he is. Now, all of the problems that's happening with him, those are personal issues. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm not saying he's right or wrong.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
Can the floor ask him one question?
Yes, sir.
One question.
Go ahead,
Wait,
You all sort of understand what voting means, that we should vote for the people. Here's the question I have. Have you considered the option, once he's voted in, that the council could
come on, somebody out there making noise.
And remove him for violations of their codes?
The council, yes.
Once they are in session.
The council.
And then this board then have an election after the new year.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. So already the chairman is talking about, Phil Mendelson is talking about stripping him of
Let's hear Mr. Anderson.
Stripping him of his committees. He still represents Ward 8.
There you go.
The council then could also do a resolution, and they could request that he step down, or they can force him to step down. And what I'm saying is this: until any one of these things happen, until the council passes a resolution for him to step down, or the feds lock him up, we stay the course. If in fact any one of those things happen, it triggers an automatic special election. And I'm saying for the residents of Ward 8, even those who haven't been getting service from Trayon White, remember the first thing I said is I ran somebody against him in the primary. I ran somebody against him. We lost. And I'm saying it is to our best interest, the residents of Ward 8, notwithstanding Trayon White's legal issues, that we continue to vote Democrat. We vote for Trayon because there only be two names on that ballot.
Let me ask you a question.
And because there's only two names on that ballot, Donald Trump.
I want your number.
I gave it to you. 202-239-9439. You ask anybody to call that number and ask them do their number.
Don't let this man go. Get his number. Okay, hey, we got another young man. You Ward 8 resident?
I'm a Ward 8 resident.
Okay, first of all, look, we making it almost halfway through this thing. Give yourself a hand. It's a miracle we making it. Because this is a heck of a meeting right here. Seriously. All right, now hold, let's focus. Mr. Anderson, work with me, boss.
Work with me, brother. Young man, Anderson, work with me.
Okay, so I've been a Ward 8 resident since 2011. I opened it up, you know what I mean? I was a youth ambassador. I worked under Anthony Williams back in, y'all know how long it was since he's been in office. So I've been involved in DC politics pretty much my whole life. I worked under him at 15 years old. I'm gonna be honest, I'm an independent, not Democrat, basically because the Democrats ain't never done nothing for black folks ever. Let's be clear about that. No Democrat ain't never done nothing for no black folks. Let's be clear about that. So I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican because I know a lot of them are racist. Let's be clear about that too. So this ain't about parties. This ain't party politics when I speak. I don't care about your party. What I care about is these dead bodies in the middle of the street. And since Trayon White done been in office, they ain't stopped. For somebody who cares so much about the community, the bullets still flying. Mother still bury your little kids. Okay, so let's go into, okay, no. She said, made a statement. I want to address that if be. Okay, so what we're going to do is, he took money, for instance. Allegedly, he took money. Allegedly, he took money, right? Let's talk about how this works. If I take a bribe as a politician, right? Oh, no. If I pay a bribe as a real estate owner or whatever else I pay out, I'm going to get my money back some way. And guess who I'm going to get it off? The public. Yeah. So if I take a bribe, so if I'm giving a bribe as a real estate agent, I say, I'm going to give you, what, 158? I'll give you 158. Guess what I'm going to do? When that rent come and I put that building up, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit the public. Oh, yeah, I need, instead of the $1,300 or $1,200 I was going to charge y'all, I need $1,700 now. And guess what that father of that who wants to support his family going to do? Oh, you're going to go out there and get it. So this is how the money turns in our community. We can't. Okay, let's talk about Trayon. Now let's go back.
No, stay right there on this. Okay. Drop this and you come back and we come in the
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to just say this. Now this is citywide. It's bigger than Ward 8. Yeah. One thing that I don't think people are considering is that if this guy is seeking roughly $6 million in contracts. One thing that's troubling that I read in the affidavit, I didn't read where this man was being demanded to do something. I didn't read in the affidavit where it said, now brother, if I help you do this, you're going to make sure that on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, you're going to open that center and you're going to provide them mental health services and the social services and the medical services. You're going to do better than you did last time. Now maybe it's in there, and I didn't see it. But I didn't see, even if there was something going on, I didn't see the demand on this man, are you going to take this $6 million and do something?
Who makes that demand?
What am I talking about? I'm saying beyond the names of the councilman, if it's $6 million out here in one annual year supposed to go to stopping the violence, and the violence is not decreasing, then as morally and ethically, we got to stand up and demand that the dollars that's supposed to go to the youth and stopping the violence must go to the youth and stopping the violence. No other deal can get in the way of that. Hello? If it's money out, because if you want to do business in the district and help somebody, you can get paid for it. They will pay, you can, in your contract is an administrative fee and enough fee for you to make money. And what I'm thinking that I'm not hearing from no ward or anybody is to make sure that these millions of dollars that's coming into the district and coming from the Fed, that they are actually going to be used to solve the problem that you are suffering from.
And Trayon has had more than enough power to do that. And it has not happened. So my position is,
what's your position?
My position is, ain't no way that none of y'all sitting in here watching the news, living in this community, in your right mind could vote for that man again. What is wrong? It's no way with the things that go on in y'all neighborhood that y'all should vote for that man again. Ain't no way.
All right, well, hold on one second. Brother Anderson, he's used to controlling Democratic committee, but it's not Democratic committee meeting.
No.
It's another kind of meeting. We've heard a couple of positions. Stick with Trayon regardless or go with the write-in. Let me just, for my own knowledge, I'm doing a survey. How many are with the stick with Trayon regardless? I just want to know what your position is. Raise your hand if that's your position. Don't make no difference. It's in this city. Don't make no difference at all. I'm making my meat. It's not me.
Right, and I do appreciate you, brother. I do appreciate you, brother, for your efforts. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you.
We all right.
I do appreciate you, brother, for your efforts. I do appreciate it.
Let's give him a black hand. Let's move on to the next one. You got the mic, Rock. You got it. You got it.
We the people. We the people that live in Ward 8.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, it's not.
So again, I asked your team before you got here, sir. I asked your team, what was the intent? What was the purpose? And then I asked you, you still couldn't give it to me. Because the residents who live here in Ward 8, we didn't call for this. We would decide our own next steps. Not somebody who live in Ward 7, not someone who live in Cambridge. So I am Regina Charlita Pixley. I am the next person after Stewart, with Stewart, equally. I'm the Ward 8 committee woman for the Democrats. I didn't come here to tell you who to vote for. I came to tell you how due process takes place. The council member is still the active seated council member. He's still the council member. People can write in all they want. Trayon White is still on the ballot.
You was there in Charlottesville with that white supremacist.
The other thing is
don't
this.
play. You know you're a white supremacist. And y'all giving that white supremacist the money. How y'all black brothers giving the white supremacist the money? Come on, let's spread this. How you giving the white supremacist the money? How you giving the white supremacist?
Educated, working, career-minded, career-filled, entrepreneurs, homeowners. So we're not going to do that, sir.
Let's hear what
We better than that.
Let's hear what she's saying. Come on.
But again, Mr. Shabazz, all due respect, a lot of the statements you made was inaccurate. And if you really cared that much to have a town hall meeting, why weren't you in court with Trayon last Monday? If you really care about the black man and legalness, why weren't you in court? Because I was there. I have the 37-page document. And some of the things you said is incorrect.
Hey, what did I say that was incorrect?
We're not going to go back and forth, sir, but you would never be my lawyer.
What part of it?
And I'm not here to embarrass. The other thing is this. This is bigger than Councilmember White. When you drive down Suitland Parkway and you see Sandalot, when you drive even further, there's about to be 2 hotels in Ward 8. It's about development, not people development. This thing is bigger than Mr. Councilmember Trayon White. Some of y'all need to read. Reading is fundamental. When the mayor sold those 2 big houses on MLK to her developer friends for $1, nobody said nothing. Nobody blew the whistle. Because y'all was asleep at the wheel. All of a sudden now this is happening. Oh, the council member ain't did this. I know at least 8 senior citizen developments in Ward 8 where the council member fed them the whole pandemic. I was one of the drivers. I know over 200 kids and people's bodies hit the ground. The council member was at almost every scene because I was there. Nobody talked to the mayor about the things that she has done and gave development to her friends. Nobody talked about that. But all of a sudden, Trayon don't pick up the trash. That's all y'all worried about when we about to be chased the hell out of here? That's all y'all worried about is some trash? This is already designed to wipe all the... Excuse me, ma'am.
Let her roll. We got this. Let her finish her statement so we can get on to the next.
I'm talking, sis.
Let her finish.
I'm talking, sis. I believe in democracy. I ain't mad at nobody in their opinion. But as the Ward 8 committee woman, due process has to take place. None of us in here is the Board of Elections. The council member is still on the board, so when someone says he's still present, he's very present. If you was out in the community with 10 toes down like most of us, you would have saw his team passing out the book bags. He didn't have to have a book bag event. But the book bags were passed out. And then on social media and all outlets, there were members of his team dropping off book bags to Ward 8 residents' homes up until 3 and 4 in the morning. So the services have not stopped. The senior called me today about her water bill.
Okay,
her water was not cut off.
You got a recommendation.
So,
what's your recommendation?
I'm not here to give a recommendation. I'm here to state the facts. The council member is still an active seated council member. He's present. He will be on the ballot in November. He's still on the ballot today. I respect all of y'all opinion, but when you speak, speak facts. Right. And Ward 8 residents, such as myself, I grew here. I didn't flew here. Some of y'all flew here. I grew here in 1970. 54 years strong. And I'm gonna be here. And I don't decide for other people. I believe in democracy. So reading is fundamental. He's still on the ballot. Nobody in here is from the board of elections. Nobody has said he's taken off the ballot. You can have 1,500 write-ins. The work that this council member has done for the last 8+ years outweighs everything the FBI said. He knows for a fact the FBI ain't perfect. They ain't perfect. And they didn't do this to Jack Evans. They ran in his house with his wife and kids. They got the chance to sit outside in the car. He wasn't arrested. They didn't do it to Graham, the bow tie man. Remember him? Yeah. Okay. They didn't do it. They didn't do it to Vincent Gray. They are selective. Ward 8 is a Beverly Hills right now, y'all.
All right. We got to get on. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause for speaking her piece. She spoke her piece. Come on, sir. Y'all doing good. We appreciate your patience tonight. I'm just learning. I'm studying and learning. Go right ahead.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is a traumatic event. It is an event. No matter what side you are on, this is a traumatic event. But there are some things that I want us to keep in the back of our minds always. The first is that the FBI has a history of going after black leaders. Whether they end up convicted or being innocent, the FBI has always had that as part of their history. We cannot forget that. The second thing, this council has been biased against black leaders. And they show favoritism to others. She just mentioned Jack Evans, who reportedly stole more than $780,000. But they went after Kwame Brown. They went after Harry Thomas Jr. There are cases upon cases in which the council didn't play fair. Number 3. Y'all just heard Stuart Anderson. Keep it democratic. What he did not say to you was this. September 19th is Trayon's next court date. At that court date, the judge will determine whether or not he will go to trial. That's what that court date is for. September 12th.
Preliminary hearing?
That's his preliminary.
Okay, that's
September 12th.
What judge is that again?
I don't know what the judge's name is.
All right. Go ahead.
September 12th is the last day that any candidate can withdraw and not be on the ballot. So if Trayon decides to continue to run past September 12th, his name will appear on the ballot. If he decides to resign or withdraw after September 12th, what the Board of Elections has to do is inform every ballot place that that candidate is no longer running. That's what the Board of Elections would have to do if he resigns after or if he withdraws after September 12th. The scramble right now is for write-in candidates. There's this whole talk about, I know that there's at least 3 or 4 write-in candidates. Now half this room knows who I am. I'm Brother Ambrose, and you know that I be here all the time advocating about health. I'm the one that fought to get that hospital here. Y'all know. Half of y'all know. So I'm not a stranger to Ward 8. But I'm a Ward 7 resident. So at the end of the day, I don't have a dog in this fight. What I desire is for black people to empower themselves and to be able to choose a leader that is worthy of the people, no matter how it plays out. I'm not going to say whether he should resign or withdraw. I'm not going to say who should run as a write-in or who shouldn't run as a write-in. I do know that if there's more than 2 write-in candidates, we're going to have a candidate for them. And I know that I'm going to ask the question, why the hell are you running as a write-in when you didn't run in the primary? I want to know that answer. Why are you taking advantage of this situation when you ain't had the backbone to run in the primary and state your position?
Okay, so let me
hold on, Malik.
Yeah.
Now let me just say this too. I almost didn't come to this meeting. I've had at least 8 people call me, including at least 3 ministers from Ward 8, that are not here because they told me that they don't trust what's happening. They actually said that they don't trust you because they said that you don't show up. Why ain't you been there before? Why are you doing this just now? I'm not going to cast dispersions on you because I've known you since you were at Howard. Okay, he knows who I am. I was in student government at the time that he was at Howard. So I can go back if I wanted to. But I ain't going to do that. That's not my purpose. I have a radio show that airs every Monday at 5. I was just on today before I came here talking about this issue. Denise Roark Barnes once a month is my co-host. Philip Pennell once a month is my co-host. The name of the program is called To the East because I talk about east of the river. Even though I'm a Ward 7 resident, I love my people wherever they are. I'm going to fight for justice, especially in health, wherever they are. Doesn't matter if you're in Ward 8 or Ward 5 or Ward 1. I'm still going to fight for justice for black people, period. I've been here over 40 years. So I can claim DC. I can claim Southeast because that's where I live.
That's right.
Southeast. So all I'm saying are these things. There are things that we need to be more clear about. And there's one thing that Stuart said that is right. When there are several write-in candidates, it does increase the chance that a Republican will get elected. That's a fact. That's a fact. What I'm hoping that everybody in here thinks about is coalescing behind one. Whether or not that's Trayon or whether or not that's a write-in, we have to unify behind one. Because if we have 5 write-ins and Trayon running, Trayon might win, he might not win, but I know that means that the Republican could win. And that I'm not, hold on. That I'm not going to support. I am not going to cast dispersions on anybody. I just want to tell the facts and share the facts. I'm on radio, that's my job. But as a resident east of the river, I am interested only in the empowerment of black people. That's all I'm interested in. And we work with black men across the city. We have been having conversations, brother knows. We've been having conversations with black men and boys for over a year and a half, from Bald Eagle to Emory all the way up Georgia Avenue. We know the issues that black men face. I ain't trying to hear no other BS about black men organization here, black men organization. No, we doing the work in the community. We doing the work. And when you do the work, you don't really have to talk about it. You just grind and do the work. Everybody know what I'm talking about. So let's get some clarity. Let's find a way, not in this meeting, because it ain't going to happen in this meeting. Let's find some clarity to be able to coalesce around one candidate if there's a write-in, or coalesce around Trayon. If he runs and he wins, the council has 2 choices. They can either suspend him, which is what they're kind of trying to, it's actually called a sanction. They can sanction him and strip him of his committee responsibilities. They can do that. Or that's what they're in the process of doing right now. Or they can remove him from the council. But they're not going to do that until he either pleads, whether or not he pleads guilty, or he goes through a trial and is convicted. They will not remove him before then.
Okay, can I clarify something with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you stated that you feel that if there's a write-in, that the write-in candidacy should be limited to those that were on the ballot.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Limited to those that were actually on the ballot.
That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm saying that we as a community, Ward 8 especially, because I'm a Ward 7 resident, Ward 8 needs to coalesce around, if there's going to be a write-in candidate, and everybody agrees that, Trayon got to deal with his issues, and you want to support someone other than that, you need to coalesce around one. You can't find
around what
candidates
principle for the one? Because you articulated a principle about that one person before. You said in your first statement that if you weren't running before, you shouldn't jump out there now.
No. I was saying to those that are now claiming to run as write-in candidates, I'm not going to mention no names, but there are names that are out there saying they're going to run as a write-in. There are some that ran in the primary and then withdrew from the primary, and now they want to run as a write-in. You got others that never even entered the primary that now want to run as a write-in. So the question is why? Why did you step out before? So the issue is, regardless of all of that, those are just questions that they need to be asked. At the end of the day, Ward 8 needs to coalesce around somebody. Don't get distracted. Don't lose your vision. Be clear-minded. What Stewart said is partially correct. He said go Democrat. And if Trayon is on the ballot, then he's on the ballot. Ain't nothing you can do about that. But if you're going to support a write-in, you need to support one write-in. Don't be supporting 5 and a cat and a dog and everybody else. You don't need that, because that's when another candidate can slip in.
Okay, so let me say something. First, let's give him a black hand, first of all. Long-time freedom fighter, great voice for our community, long-time brother of mine and ours. Okay, let me say this, though. Now, I'll take it a little step further, based on his analysis. And just so because I do believe that this meeting is offering clarity. He says, and my interpretation of what he says is no one should just jump out there. Okay, so in the Democratic primary, the top finishers were Trayon White, Salim Adolfo, and the third man was Branch. Okay, my interpretation, when he says coalesce around one write-in candidate who's a Democrat, I could be hearing something different, but my interpretation of that would be to ask you the question, well, what about the second place man who's a Democrat that got 22%, who I hear good things about him also, like I hear about Trayon, I'm talking about Adolfo. Nobody's mentioned him, but he is the man that got 22% in the Democratic primary. He hasn't said he would run. I'm not pushing anybody. I'm just putting that out there. Salim Adolfo got 22% in the... I'm just going over the facts of who was in the race. Well, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm asking you the question. Maybe somebody will raise it because I want to know. Why not Adolfo? I want to know that. Go right ahead.
Good evening, people. Bear with me because I get brain fog. I am a 4-year cancer survivor, so sometimes I get brain fog. But we need to be very, very mindful as a people of our history in this country. So before we go condemning one another and letting the what's happening divide us, we have to remember our history in this country. We have Black Panther parties up here. We have the Muslim faith. You guys, better than anybody, should know about the FBI. Going to COINTELPRO, and the first thing you pull up is the FBI disclaimer saying that their beliefs back then are not the same. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Okay, the same things that were going on back then are going on today. When they want you, they will come for you. They will assassinate you literally, or they will assassinate your character. Don't come, I'm a Ward 7 resident, but don't come into our communities with a bunch of bullshit, okay? Because if you look at history, history was not won by Trayon picking up the trash. We have to do stuff as a people. I go to these city council meetings and I don't see anybody. Anybody at the meetings. Nobody is at the meetings. The power is not in that city council. It's in the people and the people in the wards. We have to get from behind these desks at work. We have to get up from them couches and we have to go out and advocate for ourselves. And until we do that, things are going to remain the same. It's going to remain the same. The boycott in Alabama did not change with them just sitting on the bus. It changed with the people coming together and saying, we are going to do this. And it took over a year. But they did it. They did it.
Well, let me ask you
so until, no, I don't need no questions. I just want to finish going through what I'm going through. We need to stop putting the blame on the politicians. You know better than anyone, Fred Hampton, when the people are for the people, look what they did to Hampton. That is my favorite person to use. 21 years old and they assassinated that man. But I'm going to tell you, like he said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. And we are the revolution.
Let's give us
Black power, black power.
And Ward 7 supporters up in here, we all east of the river. As I say, only Wards 7 and 8 is all we got left. Say it over and over again, 7 and 8 is all we got left. We lost 5, lost 4, ain't even in 3, 2, and 1. 7 and 8 is all we got left. Go right ahead.
Okay. There's so much I want to say. So many people want to piggyback off. But first of all, I want to say I'm a Washingtonian.
Yes,
over 65 years I've been in the district.
I got 76.
The young lady that said people don't go to the city council meeting, I'm one of those. I'm one of those that haven't been. You know, what really got me fired up, it wasn't Trayvon. What really got me fired up is when I started seeing these Republicans, these white Republicans coming into Ward 8 wanting these positions. So the day before, whatever day that was, the final day to sign for AME, I think the office closed at 4:45. I left my house at 4:15. Got down there just in time so I could put my name on the ballot for the ANC. Why? Because I thought this person had bad mouthed this young lady, Malcolm or something, and he talked about her so bad that I decided he was trying to push her off so that he could be a shoo-in. I went down, put my name on the ballot. I don't want that position. I never wanted it. When I got back home, I realized there's 2 other people that's applying. So at that point, I'm stepping back and I'm putting all my support towards them because I don't want any white Republicans in Ward 8 proclaiming to be for me, my people. No, go to Ward 3. How dare you come and say you're here to support me? No. The young gentleman here, Mr. Anderson, I've never been a Trayon person. I admit I never was, for a lot of reasons. But right now, when it comes to the Republicans and him, I would say yes. Vote for Trayon, or we pull together, we have a meeting, we get on Facebook or whatever y'all be doing, TikTok, whatever. Get together, decide on who we're going to vote for to make sure we don't get no Republican up here in Ward 8. That's what I have to say.
Very good comment. Tell us your name and your state.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee Darringe. I'm Miss Helper's neighbor, and she was downstairs. Some of the 8A01 drama, which some 8A ANCs may know about.
And everybody speak
Let me introduce myself for those who don't know me.
Let me hear what he's saying.
My name is Nate Darringe. I moved to historic Anacostia 9 years ago.
Let's just keep the forum open.
Okay. I bought my home in the Fairlawn neighborhood 7 years ago. It was a vacant home. I moved into it. Now I live there with my wife and 8-month-old daughter. And I did win the Republican primary. It was 130 some Republicans voted for me back in June. No, I live in Fairlawn. I've been on I ran against Trayon 4 years ago. I believe I got 2.3% of the vote last time. You may have seen me on your ballot 2 years ago when I ran for council chair. And so anyway, I've been around for just a small period of time. Didn't grow up here, but I'm here now.
What's your position? What is your statement on this matter?
I just like to say, introduce myself. My platform, I believe, will help stop the health issues and help increase people's wealth and help increase the amount of home ownership. My platform's on my website, NateWard8.com, and I think I should deserve a little bit of a voice here since I am the other person on the ballot. Happy to take some questions.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Do you think that your candidacy or your election would advance gentrification in Ward 8?
When you say gentrification,
meaning the decimation.
Actually, Stuart asked me this question.
Are you, does your candidacy or your election propel gentrification, or does it slow it down?
I have a plan for housing on my website. I explained this to Stuart, and my plan.
Let me hear his answer. Let's hear his answer. So,
my plan would increase. My plan would increase home ownership. I'm trying to get people who live in their homes. I want the city to sell its property to the occupants at a heavy discount, so we have more homeowners, so people can stay where they are, and turn that district property into private property. It's all on my website. I'll take one more question. Yes, ma'am.
Now hold on. How you come in this form and you take what? How you start running this?
I'll excuse myself. I just wanted to let people know.
He's on the ballot. All right. Thank you.
I'll be over here if you want to talk more. Appreciate your time.
All right. Order in the semi-order in the court. Semi-order in the court. What time is it? We ain't gonna go on. We're gonna have a few more, then we're gonna be gone.
8 o'clock.
You know what? We gotta say one thing about this. Before we go forward, we gotta say one thing about Ward 8. One thing I miss about living in Ward 8 and being in Ward 7. You all are some political hot potatoes. I mean, y'all are the difference in political consciousness between Ward 8 and Ward 7 is dramatic. I mean, you all are on top of it. You all are political pit bulls. And y'all, no, I understand. But trust me, Ward 8 is nobody's dummy when it comes to their politics. I can tell you about that. Go ahead. Final comments.
No, he's next.
My name is Charlie, I would just like to...
He's running.
Brother Charlie's got the floor.
One mic. If you don't know the history of this country, what it was built on, racism, greed, corruption, and violence, and black people have never had no wealth. So that's a big problem. So now what I'm saying to you is that government can't solve your problems, but I just want to make one statement, and it pertains to only black people. And I know you heard it before. And it's so prevalent how we do each other. We found the enemy, and it's us.
All right, hold on 1 second. Come on. Hey, Brother Freeman, hold 1 second. Brother Akbar, Ward 8 resident, he's been on security, but I promised him he could speak his piece. He's from the Black Men's Movement, and he's right here in Ward 8, up off Stanton Road.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. As a Ward 8 resident for the last 50 years, I've seen all kinds of politics, from Sandy Allen, Marion Barrett, again to Trayvon. And Trayon White is a different kind of a guy. We shut down Bazzuto Construction. I don't know if anybody remembers that. When they were building, you remember that, when they were building the Starbucks and the probably bus boys and board, whatever goes on there. And we found a way to shut it down. But we didn't get the continuity, meaning with the Black Panther Party being instrumental in shutting it down, and then where it would go from there. People were writing budgets, certified payroll, and you can ask Bruce Johnson on CBS News, and saying people work here that have never been on the job site. They only applied for the job, and they used their names and social security numbers, sent them up to the office of Muriel Browser, and got them in a certified payroll. I represent what you want to do something different in politics. Trayon's an okay guy. I'm not saying he got little man syndrome or none of that. It's just that he's not a very intimidating looking guy. He's an ordinary guy. Marion Barry stood for just to stand up a tall black man. It makes a difference. This guy can tell you. You can tell me, bro. It makes a hell of a difference when you step up to me to talk and you talk to a guy that might be suffering from Napoleonic or little man, short man syndrome. But I'm saying to you that your politics, when you know that Benjamin Banneker and Dr. Frederick Douglass put something here for you, that is your inventions, your integrity. Every time they hit Frederick Douglass, he took it to a higher level. He didn't have no intellect, but he gave Abraham Lincoln intellect. Dr. Benjamin Banneker didn't manifest for Washington. He was a surveying engineer. He was an inventor, right? Surveying engineer. Wrote almanac. I'm still reading for Frederick and from Dr. Benjamin.
White. While the legal drama plays out in the coming weeks and months, there are lots of questions and uncertainty within the community. A town hall meeting is taking place tonight calling for hope and healing for Ward 8. My guests are Attorney Malik Shabazz, Iman Akbar, and Stephen Hall, all of them part of the Black Men's Movement. Gentlemen, thank you so much for entertaining me with a few moments as we talk about this really important conversation. Before I get started, I need to just kind of explain to our listeners exactly what's going on for those who may not know. And of course, Trayon White, he represents Ward 8 in the district, what we call east of the river. He was arrested by the FBI on August 18th. He is accused of taking some $15,000 in bribes, allegedly to help steer government contracts. And I'm sorry, that's more than $155,000 in bribes. That's the accusation, to help steer government contracts. He is born and raised in Southeast. He's been on the DC Council since 2017. And just last week, the Council Chair, Phil Mendelson, said that he is looking into disciplinary actions, including a reprimand, censure, expulsion, and on September 17th, when the DC Council returns from summer recess, the Council will take action to remove him as chair of the committee that he oversees regarding youth services. Let me start with you, Attorney Shabazz. Last week, you and others called for this meeting in Ward 8 at the Arc on Mississippi Avenue. Why call this meeting?
Because we have to be proactive. The arrest of Councilmember Trayon White, which is a tragedy for everybody, furthers the crisis that we are in Washington, D.C. as a Black community. We're in crisis. We're in crisis with crime and violence, in crisis with gentrification and depopulation, and we're in a crisis in leadership. And so with this tragic arrest of Mr. White, we're having our town hall meeting and engaging in further action to let our community know that as lawyers, as Black men and organizers, that we don't intend to just allow things to happen. We intend to be proactive so that we can organize and protect our community and not be destroyed by these destabilizing actions. We have to be active if we're going to not go into further crisis.
Mm-hmm. And let me say also at the very beginning of this conversation, Councilmember White is presumed innocent until proven guilty. We have to be really clear about that. He enjoys the same rights as any person who is accused of a crime, felony, misdemeanor, politics, violence. He is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now with that said, Imam Akbar,
talk to me about your thoughts about these allegations and what this has, how this has impacted the community.
As an Islamic chaplain in the city of Washington, D.C., and servicing many within and without corrections, for over 50 years, we've seen so much happen within D.C. government. And then it's the nature of the allegations when Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, myself, others within the Alliance, etc., have worked directly with the youth and youth programs, have launched successful youth programs, specifically in Ward 8, specifically directed to aid and assist the Black youth. And so directly I take, well, the antennas are raised once the allegation goes out, and then we have to do, again, a preliminary investigation from the perspective of the community, from the perspective of the Black men's movement, which is gaining momentum throughout the Black community, especially in Southeast. So there are grave concerns about having good leadership in Ward 8 in the legacy and spirit of the Honorable Marion Barrett, who was both a political scientist as well as a chemical scientist. Yes, sir. So we have to look at some of these measures scientifically. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to agree with you with my host that they are allegations, but they are such serious allegations they impact the election. They must understand that Mr. White has won the Democratic primary and is on schedule to win the November election had he not been arrested. But now that he's been arrested and indicted, Ward 8 faces a situation where they will have to elect an indicted councilman and one who may have to plead guilty and give up the seat. And so the reality is that even though there's just a probable cause, and there's serious allegations in the affidavit for probable cause, that the whole political seat is now, it's up for grabs. And the future of Ward 8 is up for grabs at this point in time. And that's the reality, that's the tragic reality of what we face, that Ward 8 must decide its political future, whether they're going to go with Trayon White. He's done a lot of good deeds. We want to be clear. He's done a lot of good deeds, but he's also indicted, and there's some serious evidence on the table against Mr. White. And so the city must, and the city has a vested interest in Ward 8 maintaining strong, stable Black leadership.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I want to come back to you about some of those charges, but let me go to Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall, you're a resident, of course, of Ward 8. What do you believe is your biggest concern in the wake of the arrest of Councilmember White? When you think about all that has happened over the past week or so, what concerns you the most?
Well, it's very simple. The welfare of the community, the welfare of the children, neighborhood safety is at the center core. There's a spoke in the wheel, and the wheel cannot hold if there's not enough leadership, as Attorney Shabazz and Brother Akbar had mentioned. It's the welfare of the community. What has happened to Councilmember Trayon White is one thing, and there's motives for that. And they say it could be greed, it could be image, it could be a number of reasons why people take bribes. And there seems to be an epidemic of bribe taking. And I think it's quite contagious in our community among politicians. But my concern is the welfare of the children, the welfare of the community, the safety of the community has to come first. And this is a smoke in the wheel. There's a disruption. If there's progress has been made, then it seems to have a taint on the momentum. And my concern is how do we bring accountability, leadership, community input? When the last time there's been a community town hall meeting to bring the voices of the community and our concern about trash in the street, gun violence, and the children? And I think that we must not lose sight of the core here, the community welfare, is why I'm concerned. And that's when I talked to Minister Haru and Attorney Shabazz. We collaborated. I told him my concern is it's an image here in this ontological addiction. I want everybody to study that. That's what's happening. Narcissism, self-centered, and self-serving.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Mr. Hall?
The image of how we see ourselves, independent of the whole, and not part of the whole, and not acting toward the interests of the whole, but acting selfishly for our own personal gains. That is an addiction. Is not a substance abuse addiction. Is not an alcohol addiction. It is a self-abuse addiction that's plenty in our community, and we must put an end, create some accountability, and create systems that we now govern by the community terms, not the politician terms.
You know, Iman Akbar, you mentioned the late mayor and council member Marion Barry, and we all know what he has done during his lifetime for the city, and he also had his legal issues. Of course, you know, Trayon White representing Ward 8 after the passing of Marion Barry. But do you think it's a fair comparison when you look at the two men and some of the difficulties that they are having or had?
I think the expectations of the Honorable Marion Barry from the grave, I think he would be full of disappointment, and there have been some forward actions in Ward 8 that I know he would have never approved of, but nevertheless, the citizens, the blindsidedness of the citizens that support some of these efforts, in fact, publicly and privately. So we have always been a strong support of the efforts of a man the caliber of Honorable Marion Barry. And then we look at the actions or lack of actions of a Trayon White. So we want to hear from him. We're hoping that he actually shows up to give clarity to the community. The community is appealing for closure. And this is not an attack on Trayon White. We want to be very clear on that. But an appeal for leadership within the community to show what we can produce. And people underestimate the politics of Ward 8 and know that, yes, there are high caliber politicians and political ambitions within Ward 8. So I definitely don't discount Ward 8 as an equal player in the politics of Washington, D.C.
It was suffice it to say, anyone who underestimates the politics of Ward 8 does so at their own peril. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. As a former Ward 8 resident and council candidate many years ago, I testified to the diligence of brothers and sisters in Ward 8 as their politics. Now, as a direct comparison between the mayor and current Councilman Trayon White, who is one of the students of Marion Barry, as there are many of us, there has always been there's always a conspiracy to see if a black politician in Washington, D.C. or anywhere in the country is susceptible to committing any type of crime that could take them out of office. They're always targeting us. Let's be clear. I think the question here is, to what capacity does the official who's being targeted, how culpable is he to participate in such a conspiracy? Marion Barry was sought after for many, many years by Joseph Divinity and many others. And finally, he was caught on a drug charge in the Vista Hotel, which was unfortunate. And he happened to have been culpable enough to be caught there. One thing we can say about former Mayor Marion Barry is that he was never accused, with all the power he had, he was never accused of taking any money or funds in order to exchange many of the contracts that he made many millionaires. Marion Barry made many millionaires, and he was never charged, though he was wiretapped down to the bone, never charged with trying to get kickbacks from that. Mr. White has done many good deeds like Mr. Marion Barry. The trouble in his situation is two things. Number one, the person who was the government informant that's trying to get the contracts that had been previously booted out of the DC government was a known defrauder of the anti-violent contracts, meaning that this person had defrauded the district government in terms of anti-violence contracts. And the troubling part about it is, it seems that Mr. White was trying to work with him so he could get $5.6 million in further contracts.
Hold that point. Hold that point. Don't forget your point, because I've got to take a really short break, and I want you to finish your point on the other side. Don't forget, you can hear this in every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The original Quiet Storm is next on WHUR. I'm Harold Fisher. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We continue our discussion about tonight's Ward 8 Town Hall meeting in the wake of the arrest of DC Councilmember Trayon White. My guests are attorney Malik Shabazz, Imam Akbar with the Black Men's Movement, also Stephen Hall with the Black Men's Movement, attorney Shabazz is with the Black Men's Movement. Before the break, Attorney Shabazz, you were talking about some of the difficulties of the allegations against Councilmember Trayon White. Please continue.
Yeah, okay, so the most concerning parts about his arrest and indictment are that the government informant who was wiretapping and recording Mr. White is a person that was previously well known as having defrauded the district government's anti-violence funding through submitting false paperwork, and therefore he was put out of doing business with the district. And then he was also, according to what we read, was violated the payroll protection program and was subject to criminal charges based on these two incidents, and therefore turned informant, I guess, to get out of criminal sentencing. Okay, and the troubling part that we have, if this, what we read in the affidavit is true, is that Mr. White was willing to do business with somebody that had previously defrauded the district government and trying to get him $5.6 million in new anti-violence contracts. The problem with that is that if that would have been successful, there would have been a person that is over the much needed services, much needed anti-violence services, much needed services we need, a person that was known to going to commit fraud and not use the money for the benefit of the people. And that would have been tragic for the district. Okay, so we're making the point here that one reason we're holding this meeting is that we want to say that all funds that are in the district or anywhere that's used to stop the violence or mental health and to clean up our people, those funds should go to the people, and they must go to the people. And the reason why some of these programs are not working is because there's some fraud behind it. Now, and the other troubling point with Mr. White, as alleged, is that he was willing to take some funds in order to secure those contracts. And I would have to say that it's tragic that to see a young, promising politician career possibly ended over $35,000 in cash and possibly $156,000 later. That's tragic. Now, the legal experts and I say that, there's some questions on whether everything that is in this indictment is what's called an official act for the purposes of bribery. But it appears to be that telling whatever agency head, which is confidential in the affidavit, telling the agency head that if you want my support to maintain your agency head, I'm assuming they're talking about the DYRS head, that if you want to maintain it, I'm one of 13 members that will not be voting for you. That seems to be using an official act. But other things that they say that Mr. White did, arranging meetings for this informant or businessman, may not be official acts. So at one point he may go to trial, and he may go to trial, or he may not, or He may be found guilty or not, but right now, the political, as an indicted councilman, the political situation is in peril, and we have to look out for the best interest of the Black community.
Let me ask you all this. I'll start with you, Mr. Hall. Let's zoom out for a moment, all the way out to the impact of not only this, but also, as you know, our former ANC Commissioner Clayton Rosenberg was sentenced to 5 years in prison for wire fraud. And the biggest, during this really, really important political year, that there's a lot of discussion about DC statehood. But you may have others who are on the outside looking in, who are essentially say, well, hey, look, Rosenberg is in prison. You've got a council member who is indicted. And once again, could that be used as another reason not to seriously look at statehood? Mr. Hall. We may have to try to get him back. Imam Akbar.
Yes. DC has looked at statehood from the time of the early days of the career of Eleanor Holmes Norton, the Senate representative, and they have been unilaterally just denied. There's been no real serious advocate from the Senate or the congressional level, and certainly no president has addressed it properly. So therefore, there's been very little to no support in the way of making monumental gains for the idealism of statehood. And therefore, we rest at the GOP as they got in power. One of the very first things they did was to nullify the vote of the seat of Eleanor Holmes Norton. And by people being a little non-political, they tend to think that DC is a state. They'll go DMV. Well, they're really talking about Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia because of the fact that DC is absolutely not a state. So given the political backdrop, there's a little power that has been ushered in the way of giving DC visibility, or again, giving DC a vote on the issues that are of concern to the citizens. And they took away many of the support networks influencing the vocational trades, for instance, or taking away the home economics for as a program. They saw DC make the monumental gains, and a young person in high school level, junior high, could have 2 or 3 trades a few years ago. And now they maybe are classing that same person as a Dulles crown in the box. So
but Imam, if I may, I'm talking about the broader optics here. Certainly we could, really kind of get down into the weeds, but I'm just talking about those people who have worked, as you said, diligently not to give DC statehood. And then we are in a new political year. And, there are, as you both know, there are forces out there that will look at anything not to give DC statehood, whether it has to do with public safety, whether it has to do with corruption. And that's what I'm talking about. Do these optics, Imam, cause more problems for DC as it continues to slowly, step by step, try to obtain statehood?
Yes, sir. When I'm over 70 years old, I've been monitoring presidents from Truman, Eisenhower, basically to this hour. You saw Ronald Reagan. You saw the Bush, the Clintons, Bush, as well as the Obamas. I think they more leaned on the Obamas and Clintons to give a nod or to give some public statement on statehood that would be effective, and they have all treated the issue the very same across. There's not an ink stain in Washington, D.C. right now for us, especially for the Black community, but again, for D.C. as a state. And we are leaning towards getting Bannekerville as a state, getting it some things changed, because Washington was not the starry crown that everybody has alluded to. So there are many political ambitions in Washington that have gone unattended. We are at the point of criminal neglect now by all offices. And
Attorney Shabazz.
Let me say one thing
criminal
here.
neglect would
The
put it in
allegations.
a proper perspective.
Yes, sir. But let me chime in here and say that the allegations against the indictment and the charges against Trayon White, to me, do not at this point harm the district's aspirations for statehood. Simply because Muriel Bowser is the leader of the city, and she has a certain leadership respect with the Congress, and she's pretty much got the district in the best position that it could be in if it ever were going to gain statehood. This is a nasty mark on the district, but it depends on how Ward 8 and the district handles this situation. Depends on how much it will weigh on statehood. I believe that this is an opportunity for the district and for everybody to say that that violence is a problem, and that violence amongst our youth is a problem, and that we're serious that every dollar that's coming in on a state and federal level actually reach the streets and reach the kids and reach these goals that they're trying to get to. I mean, if we take that kind of proactive position, that if you're doing contracts in the district, there's no corruption or bribery, and that you must do the services and you must help the youth and reach the goals of your human care agreement, then I think this could be a step forward rather than backwards.
Let me ask you this, Attorney Shabazz. This town hall was called specifically to address healing. From your perspective, even as the wounds keep coming, this is a very active moving target regarding Councilmember White. Eventually, what do you believe healing for Ward 8 would look like?
Okay, healing begins with communication. It begins even with forms of therapy. I mean, now when you have a young man that represents really the youth of this city and is looked up to by the youth of this city, specifically of his ward, and won his ward with a mandate and has a record of doing many positive deeds, that can be mentally and emotionally traumatic as well as politically traumatic. So our forum and our future forums is designed so that the community can come together to understand, to share their positions, to cry, to hug, to heal, and to plan forward, instead of just being in a confused vacuum where anything is happening. And so healing comes with coming together and dialoguing, and if necessary, atonement or confession. And by all means, not tearing each other apart about where the future of that ward goes. And so yeah, we must come together, whether you are a hardline Trayon White supporter that says that you don't believe anything against him, he's a victim of a conspiracy, hands off Trayon White, or if you're on the other end and saying he let us down, he should have never been taking money out the paper bag. We're all one Black family, and we're in a community that's in crisis in Washington, D.C. So that's why we're at the ARC, and that's why Black Men Movement and Attorney Shabazz is saying let's come together to talk, to therapy, to heal, and to plan, because we cannot go backwards. We got to go forward.
Imam, talk to me about what you believe could come out of this, because Attorney Shabazz said something really important at the beginning of the conversation, that Trayon White, he won the primary. He's on the ballot in November for re-election. Prior to this, he had no serious opposition from the Republican side, but now we're in a position where you have some people who are going to be running as a write-in candidate. No matter who you decide to vote for, do you believe that this incident with Councilmember White be a motivating factor to get more people to exercise their right to vote in Ward 8?
Well, I believe the situation now is entirely in the hands of we the people, the voters of Ward 8 are definitely at the test. And now, how are we going to behave in the face of an opportunity to manage our politics for ourselves? It's been the advice of the Honorable Haji Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, of the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to manage the justice, the peace, the wisdom, the knowledge, to manage the affairs. Even told us to take our economics in our own hands. But now we must take the politics of Ward 8 and manage it for ourselves. I am a resident of Ward 8, and I'm a long time I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens, as well as the Black Man's Movement of and the I think the conference tonight at the Mississippi location there at the Arc, a beautiful theater, and again, the mindset of those that were wise, as Marion Barry and wise as Choirmaster Barry, put the tennis and put the theater right there where the citizens can become involved in the great aspirations of the city to build infrastructure and to get momentum. And this is what we must do as citizens. It's the responsibility of every citizen to manage the politics with your own hands. Again, the instructions directly from Dr. King, directly from Malcolm X, directly from Fannie Lou Hamer, Barbara Jordan, Shirley Chisholm, all of those great ones, including Eleanor Holmes Norton, and may the blessings and peace be upon our beloved sister from Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee, and others that were inspired, who were slain in the person of Ron Brown, in the person of our.
So, but let me Iman, I don't want to get lost in my question. My question simply was, this is a crisis in Ward 8, okay? And you and I are old enough to know the importance of all of those people. But Ward 8 has a lot of young people there who may not necessarily be civically active, but are eligible to vote. And my question is, does this crisis, do you believe it has the ability to activate those people who otherwise would not vote for DC Council to do so?
Yes, I believe it has activated and motivated many potentially new voters of Ward 8 to bring about a difference. I think when you do things differently, you get different results. And I think that many of them are self-determined to do things differently in Ward 8, and many of them are getting different results. And I think it will be an increase. I think we're in store for a great surprise come September.
Attorney Shabazz?
My two cents.
Attorney Shabazz, I think we lost you. We'll pick you back up when you come in. Mr. Hall, you came back. Thank you so much. We were able to get you back. What impact do you believe this crisis will have on voters in Ward 8? Because as you know, and as I mentioned before we lost you, Trayon White won the primary. He's on the ballot for November 5th. He could, if he wins, but the DC Council removes him in December, there's going to be the need for a special election.
Well, I think, again, the welfare of the community, the welfare and safety of the community must come to the center. The leadership drives that community to, the influencers, the political drivers, there's the political beneficiaries of it. We must debrief. If we're going to increase voter participation, we must have town hall meetings in teach-ins, like in the 60s, vocals. Just let me give you a tidbit right quick.
Go ahead.
Under the mayor's office for neighborhood safety and youth development, right? There's only $150,000 of grant money, and they gave it to 30 small organizations. What can $150,000 do to put a bite into the crime in the literacy in our community? That's an insult. Then they got these other big pots of money under the request for application. Now, it used to be called request for proposal, the $5.2 million that you don't even hear about. So they only gave tokens to the community, $150,000, $5,000 grant, mini grants. What can an organization do with a mini grant?
I remember that.
I think I want to say this.
Yeah, go ahead, Attorney Shabazz.
Okay, I want to say that the future, if you're asking the question about will this crisis with Councilman White lead to greater participation by young people in Ward 8, I think we're going to get a determiner tonight, and I think it depends on Ward 8. Now, Ward 8 is usually known for running a lot of candidates in a crisis like this. If a crisis like this happens, 40 people will come out and say, I'm the new write-in candidate, and you have factions and confusion. What we're praying that Ward 8 does tonight is that they move away from factionalism, and the different groups and entities come together to come with a remedy to this crisis. They may come together tonight and say that Trayon White is the modern Marion Barry, and we're going to back him despite these charges, and we're going to back him in November, and we're going with him all the way. Even though I haven't heard Trayon White or his attorneys come out and say that this is all a conspiracy, it's all entrapment. They could say that. Or they could say the Trayon White people could come together with the other people. I think Councilman Sam Adolfo ANC brother Adolfo, and there's another man talking about running for write-in. If these factions can get together and say, factionalism has never benefited Ward 8. And today, us as organizers, we're going to stay in the tank and stay in the room, and we're going to fight forward in November with a new vision. I believe that all this attention that's coming around the indictment would fire up this ward, fire up the young people, and there could not only be increased voter turnout, that this could be a blessing for the ward rather than a step back towards factionalism and fighting. We'll see. I do know that we just can't sit around in a vacuum and let it happen, that we as attorneys and as the Black Men's Movement, we believe we got to be proactive in giving the community a voice and organizing them so that we can keep moving towards self-determination, because self-determination is what we want.
How can you, Mr. Hall, how can one prevent this town hall and maybe future town halls surrounding this issue? How can they be prevented from, devolving into gripe sessions?
Well, again, the community must come together to create the terms of engagement, not the politician. So the community has voices, Attorney Malik said. If we are just relying on the leaders to have the voice and create the terms, then the community is left out. It becomes a stepchild to the political process. The community must continuously engage, and that has not happened in Ward 8. After they engaged during the election, the campaigning, then once the incumbent or the new that's elected goes in office, you hear nothing about briefings about where's the funding that community should be going after. When is the community interest, childhood interest, the children's interest going to be at the heart of the wheel? And if we don't engage in that activism, as Attorney Malik is saying, teaching, debriefing, we got mental health, we got post-traumatic slavery disorder that's impacting the image and it continuously passed down from generation to generation. We don't have the terms of all engagement. They must be from the community, not the politicians.
I only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to wrap this up with a comment from each of you. I'll start with Imam Akbar. When you're looking, beyond tonight's town hall, just share a few thoughts about just trying to address this issue in Ward 8.
Well, from my heart, I would just make an appeal to every citizen in Ward 8, and especially to all of the voters and the participating active voters that get up and go to the polls to go out and make a difference. Come this November, do your write-in strong. Or if you support Trayon White, then support him strongly all the way, like I say, to the gallows. But if you are looking for new fresh bread, then I suggest that you get with the new fresh bread and support that leadership strongly, so we can be solid citizens once again in Ward 8. Thank you so much.
Mr. Hall, a final word from you.
Thank you.
I think the community needs to move toward thriving beyond just surviving, and that hopefully this town meeting will help the community become fully alive and engaging and finding the community deep fire. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to be pulling out. For the community, we need exceptional well-being. We need to incite enthusiasm and living in a great total spirit in the interest of the community and the children. It's ironic that the council member was heading neighborhood safety and crime initiative, but then you get caught around the hot dog stand eating a hot dog, just staying around it too long. And we have to have the sweet self-acceptance, yes.
Okay.
We need to find ways every day. Ward 8 needs to wake up with a sense of purpose and mission. The community must be in the center of the wheel.
Okay. A final word from you, Attorney Shabazz.
To those that are listening, brothers and sisters, that there is hope. Despite tragedy, there is hope. Our number is 202-997-8909.
One more time, please.
202-997-8909. On behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice and the Black Men's Movement, we're saying that we must take a proactive stance. We're organizing right now to make sure that our community does not descend into chaos, and we're being proactive. Contact us right now, especially the men, because the young men need the men, and we're going to be we are very active in deciding the future affairs of our community. We oppose gentrification. We are against the continued destruction of our population in this city. We're against the increase in crime and violence, and we plan to plan a new way. So if you contact us, you will see that there is hope in gaining control and turning this situation around. And we thank you for giving us this forum. Thank you.
On all returns.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you taking times out of your schedules. Just a reminder, this town hall meeting goes until 10 o'clock tonight. It is at the Arc in the 1900 block of Mississippi Avenue Southeast. Again, it's going on until 10 o'clock. Certainly, if you attend, bring your thinking caps, because there is a lot to consider. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much. That is the Daily Drum for this Monday, August 26th. I'm Harold.